Hello guys, my name is Desmond. A very warm welcome to my lesson for today, where we will be looking at the mathematics. Ladies and gentlemen, please do allow me to say it is very much important that I say it is very, very much important because often what I'm about to say, it's massively. Hey, massively important, ladies and gentlemen, that I say a day without learning something new, it's a day wasted. By so saying, please, Leslie, please do make sure that by the end of each and every lesson that I conduct, you learn something new. Very, very much important, ladies and okay. So, as you've noticed, I did send a question paper in the group. Question number 3 is what we will be looking at in today's lesson. So, without any waste of time, this is what I'm going to do. Maybe let me do this and bring that question paper so that you guys can be able to see where I'll be reading. So, to those who are attending my lesson for the very first time today, a very warm welcome, honorable members. So this is what is going to happen. I'm going to read through that given statement, quickly do an interpretation of that given sketch or diagram, and lastly, we will together go through all those questions. I'm hoping that we will finish this question within an hour, considering that at 8 o'clock it's going to be load shedding. So just in case, if you've got any question, you just unmute your mic and let me know. Then I will recognize you, honorable member, and give you an opportunity to either ask, comment, or correct me if I make a noticeable mistake. So most importantly, this is what we are given under question number 3. They say in the diagram, A being a point, B being a point, C having the coordinates 2 and -3, and D being -2 and -5 are vertices of a trapezium. Remember, the word vertices refers to the corners. So those are the corners of a trapezium with AB being parallel to DC. Full stop. Okay, so let's see. They say E having the coordinates -2 and 0 is the x-intercept of AB. Okay, the inclination of AB is alpha. The inclination of AB is alpha. Okay, that makes sense. K lies on the y-axis. There is K and a KBE, or in triangle KBE, angle B is theta. That also makes sense. Okay, so now let me take away that and quickly have a look at the given diagram and do a very quick interpretation. But remember, guys, for those of you guys who are attending my lesson for the very first time today, we have done an introduction on this chapter, and the lesson was posted in our homepage. So you need to make sure that you are in our homepage, where you will be able to access all the recorded lessons and access our online library, and also that's where you guys will be writing our tests. So as soon as we are done with each and every chapter, we run a test, and then on next lesson, that's when we do corrections. So remember, guys, at all the times we draw functions on what we call a Cartesian plane, being x and y. So this is what we can see. We've got a point there, we've got a point there, we've got a point there, and we have another point there, and that joining that. And most importantly, we notice that they just indicated that this line is parallel to that line. What do you know about parallel lines based on the lesson that we did? You know that parallel lines have got equal gradients. And most importantly, you are given the coordinates of this point and that point. Remember, this is the origin. That is why you are having O there. And most importantly, we said an angle of inclination is formed where you have that line and then the angle formed in an anti-clockwise direction. Then we call that angle an angle of inclination, of which in this case they named it alpha. So this is the angle of inclination. This is not the angle of inclination, but it's just an angle which is called angle theta. And most importantly, the vertices means the points, or not the points, but the corners. So that means we've got corner A, corner B, corner C, corner D. Corner A, we don't have the coordinates. We just have a point. Corner B, let me also add that point there to say this is a point B, which doesn't have the coordinates. And then also, I just noticed there we've got that point being E, being -2, and 0 being that point there. Okay, so let's see. Now we have that point E, which is given the coordinates, and then we also have point C given the coordinates. We also have that point given the coordinates. So remember, guys, whatever that you are given is what you will need for you to answer the question. It's in most cases where you won't be given anything for mahala. You won't be given anything for confusion. Whatever that is there, you will need to use it at some point. But most importantly, for you to fully understand all these questions, you must have gone through that lesson where I've explained to you all that you needed to know and all that you needed to remember. But most importantly, I'm pretty much sure that you still remember that song of ours which says, Analytical geometry is a game of two things. So let's see if we can apply what I've just said. Let's see. We will now start with 3.1. But before I do that, honorable members, all that I've explained, does it make sense to everyone, or is there someone who's got a question based on what I've explained before we start with the questions? Paballo, any questions before I start, honorable member? I see Mudau, Fariso has joined. Henda, Mudau. Bari meaning ange, zote zo chimbira zwavhuḓi kana kuna thaidzo? Mzozozo, nne ndi a Tshiamba Tshivenḓa. Vha zwi kovhelaela ndi a Tshiamba Tshivenḓa. Okay, I suppose there are no questions up to this point. Let's now answer the questions asked by examiner. You can see the marks allocated to this question. 2 marks, 2 marks, 3, 3, 1, and 4. Free 18 marks. Let's see. Determine a 3.1.1, the midpoint of EC. The midpoint of EC. Here comes the question. Do we know the formula for calculating the midpoint? If an answer to that question is a yes, here comes the last question. Since analytical geometry is a game of two things, what are those things? It's either you must be given 2 points or 1 point and an answer being the midpoint. In this case, you notice that you are given 2 points, meaning they want you to determine the midpoint between that point and that point. So this is where you can therefore say the midpoint of EC, it's going to be this is where you can say x of E or x1 plus it with x2, half it, so that you get the middle point. Mid coming from middle. So let's see. You're also going to do the same for the y values. You add them together and then you divide them by 2 so that you get the point in the middle. So now let's see. Which one is going to be our x1? Which one is going to be our x2? Between E and C, which letter comes first? Let's see, A, B, C, D, E. So C comes first, meaning these are our x1 and y1. This is going to be our x2 and y2. So let's see, x1, that is 2, you plus it with, guys, inside the brackets, be careful of that at all the times. I'm sure you will always remember that when dealing with a negative value, always put it inside the brackets. I always regard a negative value as a hot pot. So for you not to burn your hands, you need to make sure that you put on the gloves, which are the brackets. So let's see. Now, in terms of the y values, what are we having there? We've got negative 3 plus, what is it? We've got 0 there, and then you need to divide that by 2. Remember, the midpoint of EC is what we are looking for, meaning midpoint of EC, you just punch all of that on your calculator. I'm thinking above is 0 divided by 2. I think it gives you 0. And then this one, I think it gives you what is it? Negative 3 over 2. Yes, which is negative 1.5. I'm not sure. Is this what you guys are getting when you punch those on your calculators? Silence.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just got a confirmation from Buddha saying it's 0 and negative 3 over 2. Okay. So by so doing, I'm telling you guys, examiner is going to give you a mark for correct substitution and a mark for correct midpoints. That was as easy as that. So maybe let me write down that so that in case if I need it, I'll still remember. We say the midpoint of EC is 0 and negative 3 over 2. I'm sure you guys are writing down those final answers there. And remember, guys, this question was taken from your May-June examination. So that means if you find yourself understanding what we'll be doing in today's lesson, it's a positive indication that you're getting ready for your examinations. So let's see. Next question, it says, determine the gradient of DC. Small letter M for gradient, capital letter M for midpoint. So gradient of DC or CD, it's equals to, we know the formula is change in Y over change in X, which is equals to Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1, which is equals to, here comes the question. Since analytical geometry, it's a game of two things, do we have two things? Yes, can you see? For CD or DC, we've got two coordinates. So now you forget about those and then you start over to say between C and D, which one comes first? It's C. So that means this is going to now be your X1, Y1, X2, Y2. So let's see. Y2 is negative 5 inside the brackets minus Y1 being negative 3. I'm telling you, if you don't put it inside the brackets, that's where you are going to get it wrong. There you are having a 2. So When you write a test, Bantu Bakit, write 3.1.2, write the formula and then followed by its equals to, then you expand the formula, you substitute, you give an answer. Don't just say y over that over that, and then you substitute. And guys, please make sure that you also learn how to present your answers, because it has to make sense on its own. I shouldn't think what you were doing. It has to be formally presented, if I may put it that way. Make sure of that, Bantu Bagiti. So let's see. I think this is positive, and then that plus that, you end up getting -2 there. And then I think this is -4, which ends up being a positive half. Is this what you guys are getting on that side?
Yes,
100%, meaning the gradient of CD is equals to positive half. How do I know that that answer is correct? I know that for this type of lines, of which when you extend it, it ends in the first quadrant and also in the third quadrant, they always have positive gradients. I'm sure you guys remember when we did the functions and also when we did an intro to this. And also this type of lines ending in the second and fourth quadrants, they always have negative gradients. So if you got a negative answer, then you know somewhere, somehow you got it wrong. Here comes the question. Now that we know that the gradient of DC is equals to a half, what else do we automatically know? Anyone who can tell?
so that AB is equals to a half because they are parallel.
What and what?
AB and DC are equal because they are parallel.
Remember, what is equal is their gradients. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope you guys got that point because of that and that. And also, we read in the statement where they say AB is parallel to DC, which means AE is parallel to DC. Also, EB is parallel to that. And most importantly, there's something called collinear, Bantu Bagiti, meaning when we talk about a collinear or a line being collinear, it means when you have A, B, and C, that means the gradient from A to B is the same as B and C. Why? Because this line is a collinear. From there to there, you can just extend it to C. But the moment you start having a line which does something similar, let's say that this is A, this is B, and this is C. If you want to check if this is a collinear, calculate the gradient of that and also the gradient of that. If you don't get the same gradient, it means this line might be sloping in that direction and this one may be slightly down or slightly in that direction, meaning they are not collinear lines. So always remember that under analytical geometry. So now let's go deeper. I think we have done some warm-up questions there. Here comes a question, Bantu Bagiti. They are saying determine the equation of AB in the form of y is equals to mx plus c. Anyone who would like to suggest how do we work out this problem?
Sir, can you please repeat the question?
So the question says, determine the equation of AB in the form of y is equals to mx plus c. That is the question.
So since we know the gradient of AB, then and we also have that one coordinate of E, which is -2 and 0. So we can punctuate them in where y is 0 and then x is -2. And then we also put the gradient, but we are still looking for C. Then you can, yeah, that's where you can look for C. After that you go to your y equals to mx plus c.
Honorable member, amadlozi ami ajabulile futhi ayavuma athi yonke into oyishoyo iqiniso. Okay, let's see. This is what honorable member is saying. She says, since we calculated the gradient of that line, and we do know very well that this line and that line are parallel, meaning the gradient of that line also, it has to be a half. And most importantly, since analytical geometry is a game of two things, can you see? In this case, you have the gradient being a half. Also, you have a point being point E, which is along that AB. Point E is equals to -2 and 0. So that means if you had a point anywhere, as long as it's along that line AB, you can use that point as long as you know its coordinates. Very, very much important. So let's see. She is saying, since well, we know that every time when you determine the equation of a line, you always want to find all other variables and remain with x and y. Meaning, where we see y, we're going to put our 0, where we see x, that, meaning it's 0, it's m, obviously it's a half. And then what is that? It is that plus that. So can you guys see that half of -2, what is that? Is it not -1? So that means you've got 0, which is -1, plus c. You take that to the other side, it's more like you're saying c, it's equals to 1. So can you now see that you've actually determined that, which is y, it's equals to a half x, and then you have plus 1. So this is how you determine an equation of a straight line in a form of y, it's equals to mx plus c. Tilly, is this what you were saying, honorable member, or am I lying there?
That's what I was saying, sir.
Yebo. Anyone who's got a question based on what we have done over there, Leslie them are Leslie's. Are you sure, honorable member, ukuthi ujabulile lapho?
Yes, sir.
Sidumile, are we okay that side, honorable member?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I see Baballo is on the line. Baballo, do you allow me to move on to the next question, or have you got a question, honorable member?
Can move on, sir.
Remember, guys,
Sir,
yebo,
why sisebenzisa ama-coordinate a-E?
sisebenzisa ama-coordinates a-E ngoba E it's a point on that line that we are calculating its equation. So that means any point on that line, we can use it as long as we have its coordinates. But this is the only point that we have its coordinates. So that is why we use that point of E. Angazi ukuthi uyayithola noma cha.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, 100%. So I'm just going to quickly remove all of that, but most importantly, let's just write it down there just in case if we need that formula. Equation of AB is equals to, you guys are saying it's a half x and then plus 1 there. I'm just curious, guys, since we have calculated that equation of line AB, is there something that we notice based on that function of which we can add somewhere on that diagram? Hmm? Remember, guys, just in case if you've got no idea, please do mention to say no idea. In that way, I'm able to know that you got the question, but you've got no idea. Then I will explain.
I think we can look for coordinates of B.
Which is so. Remember, guys. Remember, at B, we already know that x is 0. And we know that this is the C, which tells us by how many units or by how much our function or our line has shifted upward. So that means automatically the coordinates of B is 0 and 1. Or otherwise, what you can do, since you know that at B, we already have 0 there, you can still substitute it there, and then you punch all of that is going to give you 1. So that means B has the coordinates being 0 and 1. Remember, guys, examiners are very, very smart. Those are very, very smart people. They know that whatever that you calculate, it will help you to move on to the next question. Whatever that you have calculated from the previous question is going to help you to move on to the next question. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen, over there. So, very quickly, let's now move on to 3.1.4. So let's see. They say determine the size of theta. Yes, determine the size of angle theta. Hey, ungathi ngisasoshuba la. Let's see, how many marks? 3 marks. Yes. Anyone who would like to suggest how are we then going to calculate that one? In case of no idea, mention to say no idea. La umele ucabange. Ngicabanga ukuthi la kuzomele ukuthi umuntu acabange. Kwazile makwazis. Are you still thinking that side? Are you thinking that side, honorable member? Uzacabanga. Uzala amathambo wengqondo. Precious, usacabanga lapho. Precious Pagis. Shanti.
Mina, I think
Yeah.
sizosebenzisa midpoint ya sisebenzisa i-gradient ka-BC ngoba
Ka-BC.
ngoba u-BC na uyalingana no-AB ngoba parallel side are parallels. U-AB
Hey,
because BC ngoba parallel. So
uyamuzwa umntwana uyakhala ngoba ufanele usithathe usiyise India. Hey, manje ungathi uMinenhle usisha Malawi. Hey, Minenhle, why ngingakuthembi mina lo mntwana loyo akhalayo azikuthembi Ntombo. Hey, amathambo ami avumi ngiyakutshela.
So I think that
Sir,
since we have
Yes, give it a try, honorable member. You are recognized. Remember, guys, just say anything, whether it's correct or wrong. Just say anything. Exactly what Minentle did. She's one of my 2022 learners. She knows very well that whether an answer is wrong or correct, it doesn't matter. Just say something. Say whatever that comes to your mind. And through that, I'm then able to notice how to then better explain so that you can understand. Whether you are taking us to Cuba or Nigeria, it doesn't matter. Yes, honorable member, go for it.
So, sir, are we actually looking for the angle of theta?
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying. I'm not quite sure.
Yes, give it a try.
So basically, don't we like use the intersection of the line and the x-axis?
Intersection of a line and the x-axis. Oh, you mean which line? Which line?
Hey, so wait. I'm asking to look for that theta. Don't we use the intersections of the line and the x-axis?
Hey, bengicabanga ukuthi uyaphendula Ntombo. Manje
No,
u-examiner
so I'm
uyakubuza
asking.
nawe uyambuza. Hey, ungathi kuzoshuba la. Hmm?
sir, don't you use
Yes.
the tan the tan formula? Tan is equal to m.
Okay. A nice try again. So remember, guys, this is an advice that I'm going to give to you to say every time when angles are involved, always remember this formula which says tan angle is equals to a small letter m being the gradient. Even if you don't know how you are going to use that formula, but just remember that this is possibly your starting point. Maybe let's try to discuss something because examiner tries to be tricky, and you might need to do more of this type of questions so that you will be able to notice a similar question in exam. So that's how you learn Bantu Bakiti. The reason why most of learners in different schools get distinctions or even 100% is because their teachers, they do know and understand maths and they invest much of their time into treating past exam papers, knowingly that whatever that is going to come, it might be covered from the past exam question papers. So just make sure that you do not miss any of our upcoming lesson. So let's see. This is what happens. We've got a Cartesian plane there. And most importantly, having the x and the y axis. Then you've got this line. And then you have that angle there. I'm not sure if you guys remember that. If you also have that line which is parallel to that one, a something of exterior angles. Do you guys not agree that this angle is equals to that angle? I'm not sure if you guys still remember that.
Yes, do remember it.
Yes, where you have this thing Pantipakiti, we say this angle is equals to that angle. I'm not sure if you guys use Z to say this angle is equals to that angle. So In this case, you will need to be smart to realize that actually that angle theta, it's more like you can also construct that invisible line there. You say, actually, this angle alpha is the same as that. And obviously, this one being 90 degrees. So it's more like with you constructing that line, you are simply saying you have 90 degrees plus this smallanyana angle. The whole of that is actually your angle theta. Meaning, to get your angle theta, how about you calculate alpha, knowingly that your alpha is the same as that, and then you plus it with 90. So it's more like angle theta, it's actually angle alpha plus that 90 degrees, which means you can try to somehow calculate your alpha being that angle of inclination. Then you're going to add it with 90 degrees. That's how you're going to actually get that total angle. I'm not sure, Bantu Bakiti, if that mini prayer makes sense to everyone. I don't think for this one we need to fast. I think only with that prayer we can get our final answer. Did I make sense or did I lose some of you guys? I'm suspecting I lost most of you guys. I'm just not sure if we are together there. Hamida Mahami Sas, are you sure, honorable member? I think you will understand it better because you confirmed that angle being equal to that one. So maybe let me try to work it out. Maybe it's going to make sense when I work it out. So it's more like I'm saying, let's use this formula to then calculate alpha. Most importantly, you will fully understand this formula if you attended an introduction. So that means tan of angle alpha is equals to m. What is m? We know that m is a half, which is the gradient of that line. So that means alpha is equals to second function of a half, which is what is that? Let me quickly see. Second function of tan 0,5 is 20. What is it? 26,57 degrees. So what I'm saying is, this smallanyana angle, it is actually 26,57 degrees. Then I'm going to add it with that angle being 90. So that means angle alpha is actually 26,57 degrees plus 90 degrees. Then an answer that you get there is your angle theta, which is that. Are you guys having some light nyana there? Moleboge uthulile namhlanje angazi ukuthi konke kuhamba kahle lapho.
All is well. I'm listening.
Hey, but are you following there, honorable member?
Yes, I'm
Or am I
following.
losing you there? Okay, 100%. I'm not sure. I'm suspecting I lost someone there. Please, honorable member, if you say something, I'm going to then try to re-explain this thing differently. But if you are completely lost because you did not watch my introduction, don't worry, you will need to then catch up, and then once you've done that, you will try to rewatch these in case if it still doesn't make sense. We will obviously redo this type of a question, and then you might understand it better. Otherwise, you can ask me a question on my next lesson. Tando Stivart, does it make sense now? Stuart.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, it's Stuart. But thank you, sir.
Oh, Stuart. Okay. 100%. I'm pretty much sure that you are happy there. Kwazi bemakwazi zimkwazeni. Does it make sense? Are you sure I did not lose you there?
No, sir, you
Pakisi
do
is
not make
quiet.
sense. It makes sense now. It makes sense
Precious,
now, sir.
you've never mentioned a word, honorable member. Can you just say something? Offense. Uthulile lapho. I'm not sure if you guys understand or I'm losing you. Can you just say something, guys?
Sorry, sir, may I please ask?
Yebo.
Yeah, I was going to be wrong, but this way is kind of longer. I was going to be wrong if I was using law of cosines and then lana ngithathe le triangle EB and also the origin here.
Be the origin. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then here, because I have the coordinates of E, I have B, and I know the origin is 0 is 2, 0.
Yes. This honorable member is smart. Yes. Uyazi anginalutho bengisokunikeza hey angazi ukuthi bengisokunikeza ini honorable member, but what you are saying, it brings some light. That is the reason why I like this type of classes, honorable members, because I'm sure you guys remember I did mention to say when it comes to analytical geometry, there are multiple ways to solve a problem. Let me just quickly indicate what honorable member is saying there. Precious, this is what I'm going to say. I'm just not sure in terms of which one is longer or which one is shorter. But let's try to continue with what you are saying. But just to keep everyone aware, honorable member, I think she's saying since we have EB being that line, we also have from the origin to there being that, and then we also have from there to there being that. I think honorable member is saying we already know that we have that opposite or that side from there to there being 1 because of that, and then from there to there it's actually 2 because of E being -2. So I'm suspecting she wants to say she's then going to use a trig ratio of a tan. Obviously it might take you back to there, meaning a tan of alpha is equals to 1/2, and then you're still going to say that. Is this what you're saying, Precious? It seems like it takes us back to that. I'm not sure, honorable member. Maybe let me wait until you say something and confirm. I see Tando Stewart. Tando, do you want to say something, honorable member? I think, Precious, please take your seat, honorable the president. Let's allow Tando. On what point are you rising, honorable member?
No, sir. Apparently you also noticed because I saw that it's gonna take us back to the one that you just pointed now. Yes, sir. I wanted to ask whether it's not gonna take us back there, and then yeah.
Yes, no, I agree. It does take us back to that. But maybe let me allow Honorable the President to stand on the podium and confirm if that's what she was saying, or in case if she was saying something different. Honorable Stewart, you may please take your seat. Honorable the President, can you confirm if this is what you were saying, or were you saying something different?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I think almost everyone has got a better understanding of what is going on there. But just in case if it feels like it's still a bit confusing, just make sure to raise your hand. I think we still have enough time there where I can take in some more questions and we'll still manage to cover the remaining questions. Wait, offense. You never said anything, honorable member. I'm not sure if you are watching what is it? Is it Skim Sam or is it a Scandal or Generations that side? Offense. O re mazwe ko. Hey, I couldn't hear a thing. But I'm about to move on to the next question. I'm not sure. Minentle, are you happy there?
So I have a question.
Yes.
I wanted to ask if you constructed that line to for us to end up having that rule that says not a rule, but that isn't that there's corresponding angle.
Yeah. So it's more like we had to construct that line knowingly that this is a horizontal line. So we had to construct that line so that we say this angle is equals to that, knowingly that we form a 90-degree angle there. Yeah, so it's actually based on that reason that if we can calculate this angle, automatically we will know what that angle is. And automatically, this one is 90 degrees. So it's more like to move from there. You are going to move 90 degrees and then plus an extra of that angle, of which this extra angle is the same as that angle. So it's more like we're trying to be smart in this case to say, let's make this one 90 degree and the remainder we know we can get it as it is equals to that. Something of exterior angles being equal, something of that nature. If you guys remember, I just indicated that I'm not that much good with Euclidean geometry, and we will be joined by the new Say, who specializes in that, who's an educator by profession, teaching a private school. I think he indicated that he got over, I think it was 90% pass rate, which is a very good indication that he knows his stuff. So he will be joining us soon to take us through the chapters that myself I could not do during my high school time. As I did NCS. I'm sure you guys are doing something called, what is it? I think it's a caps or whatever. So, but otherwise, with that little knowledge that I've explained there, does it now make sense? Who was that honorable member? Was it Pabalo? I see Chantal has got their mics unmuted. Shanti, was it you?
Yes, thank you.
No, sir. I wanted to ask, but you answered my question. It's fine.
Okay. The honorable member who just made me to talk there, does it make sense?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, 100%. So now, very quickly, let's move on to the next question and see what happens there. So it is 3.2 that we are looking. Hey, they say prove that. Prove that AB is BC. Yes, yes. Moleboge, ka ba ka hopola primary monna ba rata hore prove that AB BC. What does that mean in that case? Because if you don't know that I'm telling you, you are in trouble.
It's perpendicular.
Yes, meaning spruvele ukuthi AB is perpendicular to BC. Sisoyenza kanjani lento le? 3 marks, free marks. 3 free marks. Sisoyenza kanjani?
Okay, so since we already have the gradient of AB, So, and also we have the coordinates of BC. We can also calculate the gradient there of BC, and then we multiply the gradient. They must give us the answer of -1.
100%. 100%. I just remembered one of our fellow learners in high school where an answer to the question was ancestors. An honorable member ended up saying young sisters because he forgot that it's actually ancestors. So, precious the parties, my young sisters are agreeing to what you are saying, honorable member. We do know very well that the gradient of AB is 1/2. And I can tell you now to say, when we calculate the gradient of BC by fire, by force, we must expect an answer of -2. Let's quickly try to check that because we know what we are expecting. So let's see. Y is equals to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So let's substitute. What is y2? A, B, C. C comes second. So that means we are having negative that minus 1 there divided by there is 2 minus 0. Then -3, negative that gives you negative that, and then that gives you that, and then we have -2 there. So can you see? Ngilahlele amathambo phansi ngiwazile ukuthi i-answer yethu imele ibe -2 ngoba ngazile ukuthi the gradient of AB when you multiply it with the gradient of BC kumele ikunikeze -1 out isibone ke half mase we multiply that izokunikeza -1. So that's how you prove ukuthi AB is perpendicular to BC. Moleboge, with this type of questions, I always remember you, honorable member. You like taking shortcuts. I know you were going to say BC is perpendicular to what is it? No, AB is perpendicular to BC, and you're going to say because is perpendicular to. Hey, Moleboge.
No, I was not going to do that. I was going to take
I'm telling you guys, if they say prove that AB is perpendicular to BC, she's going to say AB is perpendicular to BC. Why? Because you just told us that AB is perpendicular. Hey, a big zero. I'm telling you, with that zero, you can fry that zero and hammer 80 kg of impuphu ngiyakutshela. Bantu bakithi, I think that was a straightforward question. I'm not sure if there's anyone who needs further clarity on that one. Any question before we move on? But I think that was a straightforward question, Bantu bakithi. So it's either they can say prove that a line is parallel to another line or a line is perpendicular to another. You just need to remember that you play around the gradients. So this one, I'm just going to quickly erase it because I know it's a straightforward answer. Yes, a straightforward question and a straightforward answer. So 3.3 is what we will be looking at. They say the points E, B, and C lie on the circumference of a circle. Bathini manje? The points E, B, and C lie on the circumference of a circle. Hey, ungathi sisazobuya la out is born bathi E, ikuphi E, there is E. And then bathi B, there is B, bathi C, lion. Okay, so they are simply saying if you had to draw a circle or those points lie on a circle which passes through those points. I'm not sure if it makes sense, guys. That's what they are saying. To say a point E, B, and a C, they lie on the circumference of a circle. So this is point B, this is point E there, and this is point C. That's what they mean when they say they lie on a the circumference of a circle. So now they say determine the center of the circle being 3.1.1. Anyone who's got an idea of how we can determine the center of that circle? Anyone who's got an idea?
Sir, I think let me give it a try. Since we know that we have the points, the coordinates of maybe let's just say E and C. I think we can use there's this formula that's almost like the one with R, the R squared is equals to X squared plus that. I think we can use that one to find the center. Yes, because I mean we are given the points, right? The coordinates. So I think we can use one of those to determine the center.
Okay. Considering honorable member is 100% correct, the only difference would be the approach might be a bit longer, but an understanding is common. Honorable members, please understand that we are given the coordinates of E being -2 and 0, and then 2 and -3. So you can see that from that point to that point, this is actually the diameter, whereby the center will be at the midpoint of that diameter. Here comes the question: do we not have the coordinates of that point?
We don't have, sir. We can, yeah, we don't have. We can also use maybe the midpoint, but we don't have.
We do have the midpoint. The midpoint is easy.
Yes. You see, Kwazi the Makwazis, examiner is very smart. Can you see 3.1.1?
Yes, I can see it now.
Yeah, so we already have that point being the midpoint. So that means the coordinates at the center is that one there, which is 0 and -3 over 2. Can you see? That's why it's even allocated a mark. So you just need to remember that this is actually the diameter, and then you can use the midpoint to determine the coordinates at the center of that circle. Does it make sense to everyone, Bantu Bagit?
So I have a question.
Yes.
If we're not given maybe the question in 3.1 for the midpoint, what would we do then if we were to come across a question like that? Would we just calculate the midpoint?
Yes. Yes, you will have to calculate the midpoint. And remember, I fully understand your question, and I think this is going to answer your curiosity. So you look at the marks allocated to that question. That's how you're going to know how much of work you need to invest. Maybe let me quickly leave it there and try to work out that next question. I notice very soon it will be load shedding. So just in case if my line disconnects, just know it could be load shedding, and very soon I might lose some light. So let's see. Remember, we are on 3.3.2, where they say the equation of a circle in that form. You always know that when you are dealing with an equation of a circle, you still need two things. What are those two things? things. A point. Hey, you see what I was
It's the center and
talking about?
the thingy.
Maybe let me do this, but I don't think a point. Nee. Let me do this. I'll just use tablet to a Can you guys see there? I think I'm going to quickly wrap up this one.
You were breaking this whole time.
So let's see. Do we have a? Am I still breaking?
No, while you're speaking, you're not, but while you're writing, yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I see. So I'm not sure if you can see what I've substituted there. So your A and B is the center
So can I ask, you are cutting? You are cutting.
point, and then
Your line is cutting.
where you
Maleboka, he said he
see
doesn't have
X and
electricity.
Y,
That's why he's cutting.
you can just use any point along that circle. You can either use a C, E, or
You are cutting. How
B,
about we continue with this lesson some other time?
and
We
then
can't hear you. I can't hear
substitute
you on my
there to
side.
get R squared. Then once you've calculated your R squared, you can present. We will quickly continue from here. So just to show that you attended today's lesson, just comment with a 8 o'clock. Just comment with a 8 o'clock. That's guys, I will just end it here. But I wanted someone who had me talking up cancel with 8 o'clock in the group. Can someone tell everyone what the code is?
So we did hear you from the end when you were telling us the code, but
Sure.
before that we weren't hearing
Okay,
anything.
I'll just have to end the lesson. But whoever who can hear me, can you just say what the code is?
8 o'clock.
Okay, then it's fine as long as you got the code. We will then continue on our next lesson on this one. Thanks, Hamisa. I think Hamisa did notify everyone to say the code for today is 8 o'clock. Moleboge, it is the network. I think we'll continue with this on our next lesson. So, guys, you might not hear me, but I'm going to sign out and say my name is Desmond. You guys